What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Pat Outdoors. Hope you're having a great Labor Day weekend. I'm actually out here in the Subaru with the seats folded down since I'm actually on the way to Maryland to go pick up some bikes to add to the fleet. All right, guys, I just picked everything up. Here it is. Quick peek. I got 3 bikes in the back. We will go over all of them shortly. Okay, so these are the 3 bikes I picked up today. One's an MX500. The yellow one's another MX650, just like my current bike. And this little blue one's an MX350. They're all a couple years old, so they all have like stress marks in the plastic. This one's completely missing a front fender, but luckily I have an extra front fender from my bike. So I got plenty of spare parts to refurbish these things. This was a little bit of an impulsive purchase because none of these 3 bikes are actually the one that I'm building for my fiance, Bailey. The one I'm building for her is actually an MX500, which I just purchased online yesterday. So I'm gonna be getting that later on this week. So I actually bought 4 bikes this weekend. I haven't really gotten a chance to fully inspect the condition of each individual bike yet. I just wanted to make sure that they're relatively complete and that there's nothing structurally wrong with it and that they came with the chargers. So I'm gonna hook up all 3 bikes just to see if any of them still hold charge, since the lady that I bought all 3 of them from mentioned that they've been sitting in her garage for almost 2 years unridden. So I have a feeling that all these batteries are completely dead. Now, it doesn't really matter too much if I have to completely strip all 3 bikes down to bare frame and fairings. Since you already know, we're gonna be buying parts for all 3 bikes and testing out different products with these bikes. That's the whole purpose of these things. I also wanted to have a couple bikes handy anyway, in case some of my friends wanna join me for a ride. I'll have one extra for them to use. I now have all 3 bikes hooked up to their chargers. Not really sure if this is a bad sign that the MX350 is showing that it's already fully charged as soon as I plugged it in. The MX650 is acting like it should. It's showing that it's charging, and I actually tested this one. I turned it on and it moved forward. So this one works. The MX500 is just like the 350 where it shows fully charged right off the bat. So I'm not really sure if there's something terribly wrong with the 500 or the 350. We're just gonna leave all 3 bikes on the chargers for the next hour or so and then come back to re-inspect them. Okay, let's see which ones work. Starting with the 350. Well, this one's completely dead, but it turns on with the charger hooked up. So the batteries are completely gone on this one. So I'm just gonna throw those away as soon as I take this apart. The 650 is still showing that it's charging, so I think that's a good sign. That's a good sign. All right, well, this one's got some juice, so the 650 might be completely fine. Let's move on to the 500. Still showing completely charged, so it might be the same deal as the 350. Okay, well, no sign of life, so most likely the batteries are completely gone on this. So when I take this one apart, I'm likely gonna throw those away as well, as long as I see that everything's hooked up properly. I also see that the front tire is completely flat on the 500, so what I'm gonna do now is I'm just gonna fill up all the tires on all 3 bikes just to see which ones need replacing. All 6 tires have been filled to 30 psi, and I haven't seen any signs of leaking yet. So I'm gonna recheck them again in 2 days just to confirm that there is no pinhole leaks in any of the inner tubes, because the less fixing, the better, the quicker we can get to the fun stuff. Out of all 3 bikes, it seems like this MX650 is showing the least amount of wear. It also seems like the newest one. So I think I'm gonna start with fixing this one. I already got the fairing from my bike. I'm just gonna install this on that one, so it'll be a complete MX650. I think it's also a very good sign that it's still showing that it's charging after over an hour. It turns on and moves forward on its own power, so that's a really good sign. I think I'm just gonna start by cleaning this one up as much as possible, since it seems like I don't really have to fix anything on it. On the MX350, even though the batteries seem completely gone, everything else seems to be intact. Like the wheels are just showing some surface rust, front and rear, but all the fairings are here. I don't see any cracks. There's some stress marks on the rear fairing. There's no tears on the seats, so it seems to be in good shape. The tires are holding air. It's got a drum brake in the rear that works. Still got some tension on it. It's a really simple bike, so there's not much to break. So there's no worn out front suspension or rear shock. Actually got me thinking, since this is fully solid, I could possibly get creative and fit something fun like a gas engine in there. But that's for a later time. What I'm thinking of doing to this bike is actually overvolting it and installing the 36 volt setup that originally came with the bike that I got brand new just a couple months ago, and potentially sticking a lithium battery on there, maybe a larger sprocket and some lighting, just to make it a little bit more fun and enjoyable. This is so small that I can possibly just throw this in the back of the Subaru and bring it with us whenever we're camping. This MX500, however, is definitely gonna need a lot more work compared to these other 2 bikes. The fork, you can see it's showing a lot of rust on there. The wheels have a good amount of surface rust. That'll probably clean up. The seal is all the way down here for the fork, so I'm probably gonna have to replace the fork anyway. So you can see that there's a lot of stress marks on the plastic fairings. The seat's all torn up, but the brakes work. The tires are still in decent condition and everything is there. Since this bike is gonna need a good amount of refurbishing anyway, I'm likely gonna do all my big upgrades on this bike. If you have any suggestions on what I should be getting for the MX500, as far as a fork upgrade, tires, motor and controller kit, a budget battery, I'd like to do like a 48, 60, maybe a 72 volt, depending on the pricing. What I'm looking to do with the MX500 is build a bike that goes over 40 miles an hour for under $500 worth of parts. So if you have any suggestions for any affordable battery options, please comment them down below, or any parts in general that you'd like to see me put on it. I appreciate all the input and suggestions you guys have been putting in the comment section. So this time, I'm actually gonna let you guys be a part of this build and help me decide on which parts to go with. If you enjoyed today's video, do me a favor and hit that like button. And if you like this kind of content, want to keep up with some of my projects, consider subscribing to my channel. But this is going to be it for today. Thank you for watching.